Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to today's BGAN Exploring by the Seat of Your Pants Hangout. My name is Joe Grabowski. I'll be your host for today. For those who don't know, we're all about bringing science, adventure, exploration, and conservation into classrooms across North America. And today is a really special hangout. One of our BGAN satellite units has been taken down to Belize for us. And we are joined today by Dr. Helen Haynes. Helen is an assistant professor at Trent University. She obtained her PhD from the Institute of Archaeology in London, England. The Ka'Kabish Archaeological Research Project started in 2007. Since then, there's been digs going on, and there's also a field school and research opportunity for undergraduate and graduate students through Trent University, which is located in Ontario, Canada. So Helen, it is absolutely great to have you joining us today. Thanks so much for taking the unit to Belize.
No problem. Actually, we're really excited. I've been telling both all of our students who think this is actually an unbelievable opportunity for them, as well as the local guys who work for us, who you see in the background as well. I want to introduce my field director.
Hi, everyone.
This is Gabby. Gabby's actually a master's student at the University of Cambridge in England, though she's actually originally from Poland. So it's quite, as she pointed out, a very diverse and international team we bring down here to the rainforest.
All right. Well, I'm looking.
Are you hearing me okay?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm looking right now. It looks like you're in the rainforest. It looks like a beautiful day. Can you tell me a little bit about where you are?
Sure. Well, as you mentioned, KaKabish is actually in Belize. It's a small little country on the side of the Yucatan, kind of squished between Guatemala and Mexico. We're actually in northern Belize at the site of KaKabish, which is currently covered by really beautiful rainforest. And what you're actually seeing behind me, that lovely slope, is actually one of our ancient Maya structures that we're interested in excavating. This is actually what we call our D14 building. All of our clusters of structures, we gave a group alphabetic designation to. So we have everything from an A to a J group. And then within those, we've numbered them sequentially. We're working actually on two structures this year, D10, which I hopefully will maybe set up at next week, and the D14 structure behind us here. So this building, you can kind of see, unfortunately, you probably see some trenches in it already. It's been hit by looters. Looting down here throughout Central America is a really serious problem. It's when people dig with the hopes to find things that they can sell for money. And we see a lot of this, unfortunately, in museums that were purchased in the last century. Stuff shows up in the art market. The problem for us is that we call these objects orphans because we don't know where they come from. They don't have a home. And so what we're really trying to do is we're trying to find some of these objects that will actually help us identify the time period when these buildings were built, the wealth and status of the people that lived in them, as well as trade and long distance connections, because a lot of these goods moved vast distances across Central America.
All right, so you mentioned looters as a problem. You mentioned looters as a problem, Helen. What about the rainforest itself? Is it under a little bit of threat?
Unfortunately, the rainforest at KaKabish is under threat. This part of northern Belize is actually being developed for agricultural purposes by, believe it or not, Mennonites. A lot of them who have relations in Canada and in Texas, as well as in Chihuahua, Mexico. We're actually working to save this section of rainforest. KaKabish is about 50 acres on the south side here of virgin rainforest, or I guess secondary growth rainforest because it's on top of the Maya ruin. And we're working with the Belize government to turn it into a national park so it would be protected. Are howler monkeys still in residence?
Not right now, but they were.
We usually have a troop of howler monkeys in resident on both. So drowned out by a loud roaring. We can blame them. So there's a lot of animals that live in the rainforest with us. Because of the agricultural development around us, a lot of animals are moving into this area. along with howler monkeys. We also have a troop of spider monkeys in the area. We have several bat colonies that have roosted actually in these perfect homes for bats. And there are some biological researchers that come down from the University of Western, as well as a variety of universities across the United States who conduct research on them. They actually, unfortunately, just left last week. We have rare types of nautilus bats, as well as a host of for vampire bats in one of our structures. It seems very fair because of all the cattle farming that's going on around us. But we also have, so on the back the other day, variety of, I'm not sure if he's still resident. I haven't seen him this year, but we do have a jet makes the north side home. So quite the diverse inhabitants we share this rainforest with.
All right. Well, Helen, the site started in 2007, so 10 years now. The site started in 2010. Can you tell us a little bit about how you got started?
That's a long story, actually. I originally came to Belize as an undergraduate back in 1990. Working in the area, and I was part of a team in 1990 that came over to map KaKabish when they put a road through the area, and this unfortunately got opened up to more looting. And in 1995, I to be honest, I fell in love with it. You know, something about the site called to me, and I came back once I finished my PhD. I applied to the Belize government for a permit survey for the area in 2006. In fact, some of the guys who helped me with that survey still work with me today. And then we full-scale mapping 2007, 2010, and we haven't looked back. What you see on the surface and what you actually learn are often kind of very different things. When we originally saw KaKabish, KaKabish is very close to a much more famous and larger site of Lamanai, kilometers to the southeast of us. It was excavated in the late 1970s and 80s by the Royal Ontario Museum. And for a long period of time, people thought that the capital for the area. And that KaKabish, when we mapped it, was really quite small. It was just what we could see under the forest. And we thought this was a small secondary center, like an administrative for a capital city. But when we actually got out here and started doing the work, initial impressions were really quite mistaken. Nation spans a 1,500 year period. It starts down here around 2000 BC. In Belize, we've been able to date is about 1200 BC. We move into what most people seem to think of as Maya, which is the classic period. It comes in around 250 AD, so about 1700 years ago, more or less. And that's when we always think of as the kings and the palaces and the royalty and the riches. And then that all kind of fell up to 900 AD. But the Maya people still exist. In fact, many of the people that I work with actually are descendants of the Maya. Still actually in this area around 1500 when the Spanish came. I always kind of thought that Lamanai was the oldest, the original city. KaKabish was a secondary city that maybe came in a classic period, 600 AD, as we know populations expanded. Started excavating this area, we actually found that KaKabish is older than Lamanai. Our occupation here starts around 800 BC. Contrary to the expectations, we thought the rest of Maya world at 900. We actually have occupation at the site and construction continuing into the 14 and 1500s. So we're pretty much sitting on top of 1,000 years of history right now, which was really kind of unexpected. So what we're trying to do right now is figure out how these two capital cities, two powerful capital cities, actually existed for so long. Because Lamanai also existed, and as I said, existed right up until the Spanish came. And the Spanish actually built churches at Lamanai to host the populations in the area. you never know what you're going to get until you actually dig it. So.
All right, and one more question before we meet. The classrooms. You've been at the site probably just over a week now. What have you guys been up to get it ready for this season?
This is our third day on site. We started on Monday. When we first got out here, unfortunately, a hurricane went through the area in August of last year, and it brought down quite a number of the old dead trees. So we've done quite a bit of work clearing the sides of the structures, making paths. We visit us, which we always like. We host a variety of Belizean school trips come down, as well as local people. They're easy to move around the site. I should have also said we have beautiful birds down here, so we got a lot of birders down here. Tidying up, dealing with any fall, taking care of any of the forest that has to be maintained. We've also actually remapped some of the structures. So when archaeologists excavate, we excavate to answer questions. Okay, it's not really just to find goodies, so that is, but we actually excavate for questions. So we actually have to figure out where we want to put units down. And so we laid our units on the back of the building and find the floor we know existed. We know it existed actually because a trell, and when it actually fell, the roots couldn't penetrate the original plaster for the plaster surface, so they grew flat across it. And so it made it very easy for the tree to come down, and so we can actually see the original plaster floor. So the students are trying to find it in front of the building with the idea that we'll be able to follow it back and find the front of the structure and expose the building. So we'll actually know what the building really looked like rather than what you're seeing behind me, which is basically 1,000 years worth of rainforest buildup. The other trench further up the slope that you're seeing there is actually working to expose part of what we think may be the pyramid base front wall. So we're looking to try and determine if there's a door in it, or if it is in fact actually the building itself, like the support for the structure, and the structure's higher up. And we've got our screen set up kind of off, so you see people moving back and forth with buckets, material. So really today's actually our first day of excavations, per se. Do the setup work.
All right, Helen, can you still hear me okay?
Yeah, I can.
Okay. That last little bit, we lost a little bit of the sound. So we're going to move to the Q&A. I was wondering if you could maybe on your end exit the Hangout and then come back in following the link and see if we can get a better connection with the sound.
Okay, following the link you sent me in the email?
Does that make sense? If you hang up and then follow the link I sent you in the email again, and it'll bring you back in and we might get a better sound.
Okay.
And then we'll go to Q&A.
Okay, let me figure out how to hang up here.
Just
my computer is actually okay.
Yeah, just a little red hang up.
Yeah. Okay, we may actually have to move for a minute and get back in because my computer's starting to overheat in the sun.
Okay.
So there should be a red hang up.
Okay. All right. Well, boys and girls, thanks for your patience. We're just going to have to let her move her computer because I think either it's getting too hot and that might be affecting the sound, or sometimes satellite signals kind of degrade a little. So she's going to pop back into the Hangout. But while we wait, let's meet the classrooms who are going to be joining us, and then I'll introduce them to Helen as well. But yeah, there's no sense not meeting each other. So let's get started here. We have Mrs. Hans's group, grade 7s, joining us in Austin, Texas. Let me turn your mic on so you can say hi. How's it going, guys? Hi. All right.
Hello.
Let's see. We have Mrs. Hastings Specs group joining us from Brampton. They're grades 6 through 8. Let me turn your mic on. How's it going, guys? Hi. All right. Let's see. Mr. Richards from Amherst View. His class is 6/7s and 7/8s. Or it might just be one group today. We'll see. Let's turn on the mic and find out. How's it going, Mr. Richards?
Alex.
Who do we have today? Is this 2 groups or just 1?
Alex. It's 2 classes today.
2 classes today. Perfect. Let's see. Mrs. Searson is joining us in Douglas, Ontario. Let me turn the mic on. How's it going, guys? All right. They're a grade 3-4 classroom. And then we have Mrs. Walters. How are you guys doing? Can you hear me okay?
Hello.
They're joining us from Vaughan, Ontario, so they're not too far away.
Yeah.
And then finally, we have Mr. Taylor. He's joining us from Niagara Falls with, I believe, Hi, guys. And it looks like Helen's coming back in. There she is.
Yeah, I had to move us to the shade. We were overheating down here.
That's okay. I can hear you way better now.
View. I'm not sure. Okay. There, you should be able to see the excavations.
All right. Well, Helen, are you ready to meet some of the classes?
Okay.
We'll visit each classroom for a question.
Okay.
All right. So the first group, we'll let Mrs. Searson's class go first. They're joining us from Douglas, Ontario. Let me turn your mic on. Go ahead with the question, nice and loud. Nice and loud.
Anybody? Oh, sorry. Just a moment. Sorry. Reese. Just sit down in the chair, honey.
Oh, I see you.
Is the whole ancient Rome thing made of a stone?
I'm sorry, Jen, can you repeat that?
Is the ancient building made of stone?
Is the ancient building made of stone?
Yes. The buildings down here are made from cut, carved limestone. Gabby, can you maybe lift one of the stones? Maybe we'll get a chance here just to show you one.
I'm gonna go behind.
You're gonna go behind me because this is my grad student. This is one of the cut stones from the front of the building. Yeah, I think so. I think you can see. Beautiful. They got
Who you are?
down a little so you can see. Ah, my radio just went off. Stones. They can see it. Let's both lift it. There. You got it? See? These are one of the stones we've had to remove from the front of the building while we've been excavating. All made out of solid stone. Very heavy stone.
All right, good question. Yeah, let's jump to our next classroom. Let's go to Mrs. Walters' class. They're joining us from Vaughan, Ontario. Let me turn your microphone on.
All right, so Ariane has a question. Go ahead. Oh, does anyone, I want to ask a specific question? Eric, go ahead. No, it's okay. We don't have a question? Okay, well, I am interested to know, I guess, what was I going to ask about? So I thought I heard you saying that that you think that what's behind you is the base of the pyramid, but you're not sure. Is that what you said, Helen?
Maya? Yes. Hi. Yeah, the Maya actually built a couple of different ways. Sometimes they would actually build like a very low platform and put a structure on it, a range structure. Sometimes they would build more like what you'd see pyramid base and put the structure on top. And so what we're trying to do right now is we're trying to actually determine what type of building is actually behind us. If it is in fact like a pyramid base with a structure on top, a series of rooms.
Hey, Helen, can you still hear us?
Can you still hear us?
Yeah. Yep. We just had a little
I
blink.
can hear you. I couldn't hear the classroom.
Okay. Perfect. Okay. Well, let's jump to Austin, Texas. Mrs. Hans's grade 7s are joining us. If you guys have a question, go ahead.
In front of the camera there.
Should I sit down or?
Yeah.
How has your experience been working in the rainforest? You know, I remember hearing you say that you saw like some of the wildlife. So have they ever gotten in the way of your research, or do they mostly like stay on site?
I'm sorry, I kind of lost the last part of that. About what about the animals? And
She was wondering about your experiences in the rainforest with the animals. Do they get in the way of your day-to-day activities ever?
No. The worst that happens is sometimes, however, the howler monkeys get a little loud, and so to sort of not have classes, or if we're taking maps, we kind of give up. The howler monkeys also, for the first week or two, have a little issue of territoriality, so they like to turf a little. So we do have a little bit of problems with them throwing poop at us. After the first or second week, they settle down to just watch. Animals we see mostly are very, very patient, sharing rainforest with us. It's like I said, just the howler monkeys and the poop for the first week.
All right. Well, I didn't know you had to experience or to deal with that. So I hope that doesn't happen too much more on your expedition. Mr. Richards' class.
It was just the once, and they managed to meet most of us.
Okay, good. Mr. Richards' class is joining us in Amherst View, Ontario. And let me turn his microphone on. Nice and loud if you have a question on that end. Oh. So, Mr. Richards, we're at your class if you guys have a question.
Yeah, hi. I'd like to know what's the process that you go through for dating any architectural finds? Do you have carbon dating as an option, or how do you date stone?
That's a very good question, actually. We generally date architecture through styles. The same way that if you actually look around your city, you'll notice things from different time periods are built slightly differently. Do try and find material that was either left in front of the buildings when the buildings were abandoned, or inside of any rooms, or stuff that was used actually in the fill of the construction. And usually that's carbon, like you said, burned material in the plaster that they would use, which we would send for carbon-14 dating, or ceramics, which also change very dramatically in style through time. So we use about those 3 different ways to correlate the dates for any building we find.
All right, great question. Let's visit our grade 9s in Niagara Falls. Mr. Taylor, your microphone should be on.
Okay, here, go ahead.
So when you're at the rainforest, where do you stay, like, overnight?
Okay. It depends on the project. In the past, we lived in tents on sites in some of the places. When I set up this project, I've been very, very fortunate. There's a lovely little town of about 200 people, 200 Belizeans that live on the side of a gorgeous lagoon, right next to the ruin of Lamanai. It's 10 kilometers away from us. And we stay there. And that's also actually where I hire the guys who help out on site, with the workmen that help us here. So we actually have quite a nice little setup, little concrete, 1-bedroom, guest houses. It is a little hard for the students to get used to. We don't have electricity regularly. We have generators. We run at night to get some power to charge things like the computer and the BGAN. And we don't have internet. We are using cell phones, a lovely technology that links us to the rest of the world. But otherwise, it's a pretty cut off, pretty remote little village. But it's very lovely, very peaceful. I really love it here.
All right, and let's visit our class in Brampton. All right, let's visit the next classroom. Your microphone's on.
How long did it take you to learn this?
How long does it take to?
For you to learn this.
Well, I've wanted to be an archaeologist since grade 6, but I went to undergraduate, so I spent 4 years as an undergraduate at the University of Toronto, and then I went on to England. Actually, my degree is from the University College of London, where I spent 4 years getting a PhD. So at least 8 years, sometimes in the States, 12. Permanent student. I'm still learning.
All right, and that's the best way to be, is always learning a little bit more every day. So the feed's actually coming through really nice right now. It's really nice and clear right now. So wherever you moved, it was even better for the satellite.
Oh, okay. Well, we didn't move the beacon. I just moved the computer into the shade, so the computer might have been overheating.
Oh, maybe. So we're going to connect again in a week, Helen, with some more classrooms, and maybe some of these classrooms we'll watch on YouTube. What's in store for the next week? What's the plan?
Okay. The plan for the next week is we're going to continue going down on these units. As I said, hopefully the one behind me is going to find a floor. We should expose backwards more of the building. But we're also working actually on the D10 building, which I hope that I'll be broadcasting from next week. And that one actually we're exposing a lovely room on the top of the palace, and we're actually going through the floor of the palace to expose an earlier, what we think, palace structures below that. So quite a lot of digging, quite a lot of work. Ask me at the end of next week what we're going to find, because I'll know by the end of next week what it is we're going to find.
All right. Well, what's before we sign off, what is a typical day? How many hours are you on the site?
Okay, typical morning for me starts at about 5:30 in the morning. Trying to remember all the equipment and everything I need to. We go for breakfast at 7 in the morning. We roll out at 7:30. Takes us about half an hour to get out to site. We start unpacking, opening our units. We often tarp them down for the night rains. So we have to open everything up again, check to see if there's any damage, bring out any of the equipment that we've stored. Then we work from about 9 o'clock to about noon. We take about half an hour, 45 minutes for lunch. We go back, we keep digging, surveying, whatever really needs to be done in terms of what's happening on site. We start packing up about 3:30 and we roll out at 4, get back to village about 4:30, and then everyone pretty much hits the lagoon for a swim.
All right. Sounds like busy days.
Long, busy days, but great days. I love it. I got the best job at Trent.
Okay. Well, Helen, again, I have to say thank you for carting the BGAN unit down to Belize. I know it wasn't easy, but I'm so excited to do these connections over the next few weeks and follow along and learn along with you. So is there, I'm trying to think, is there any way that students can follow the dig a little bit? Are you doing it?
Yes, we are. We're actually on Facebook. They can look us up at KAKABISH. We have a Facebook page. We post regularly from there. We also do have our own website, the kakabish.org website, where we have our reports and photographs. And I'll have to see if I can get into the city. I might be able to get a decent enough internet connection that I can actually send you some photos if you'd like to post as we discover stuff in the units behind us and that.
I would love that, Helen. That would be great. And I'll share out that link as well to the classrooms so they can continue following along. But before we go, I have to share one comment from the class in Niagara Falls, Mr. Taylor's. Martina in her class says that it's unfeasible, this connection.
I'm really, really glad, actually, that my workmen worked and my field director worked really, really hard, walking all over, up and down a building, holding the BGAN, trying to find where we would get the best reception. So I'll let them know their efforts paid off.
All right. Well, Helen, this is so cool. We're connecting from, so far away in an area where it wasn't possible before. So thank you. I'm going to turn the microphone on, let the classroom say thank you, and then we'll see you in a week.
Okay.
Okay, here come the microphones. Boys and girls, if you want to say goodbye and thank you. And thank you. Right, thanks everybody. We are signing